Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.
Europe's third-tier competition reaches its conclusion on Wednesday as West Ham take on Fiorentina in the Europa Conference League final. Both sides finished outside the top 7 in their respective leagues, so it's a must-win match for either team, with European football next season also on the line. Fiorentina have lost only twice in the Serie A since late February, and Wednesday night's fixtures will be the club's second final of the year after Vincenzo Italiano's side finished runner-up to Inter in the Coppa Italia. But West Ham are hands down the strongest side Fiorentina have come against in the Conference League so far, and it's David Moyes' side will be hoping to finish the season in style after successfully pulling away from the Premier League drop zone in the latter stages of the campaign. Neither team has tasted European glory since last century, and the final may lack atmosphere, considering its venue, the Fortuna Arena in Prague, has a capacity of less than 20,000 seats. But the big worry for West Ham is that Fiorentina are the highest scoring side in European tournaments this season, racking up more goals than either Man City in the Champions League or Sevilla in the Europa. So in what's likely to be Declan Rice's final appearance for the Hammers, Wednesday night's game will be the first of 2 European finals this week that pits Serie A against the Premier League. Yes, all the top 5 leagues in Europe have wrapped up, but we still have some European competition to hammer out. It's the Europa Conference League final Wednesday. I'm Sarah Pariah. This is Mikey saying West Ham and Fiorentina. Do you like that?
I was going to say, how long were you sitting on that one
I
for?
actually didn't. I swear to God. I literally said it, and I was like, this is...
That's a pro right there.
There you go. Mikey, both teams finishing out of European contention.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, West Ham much further than Fiorentina, but there is some, depth to this match because whoever wins will have a spot in the Europa League next year, which is massive, I think, for both of these two sides.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Let's start off the chat. Let's air it out. Let's air it out there. Let's just get it out there. Who cares? If you're a Fiorentina fan and you're a West Ham fan, fair play. You have a trophy to play for. You have a final. For both of these teams, it's not been the best seasons domestically. For anyone else out there, who cares? Give me an argument that states otherwise.
I love watching finals. I think they're always just so much more dramatic, and we also have an Italian team in a final, which makes me think, oh, this one's going to be penalties.
Again.
Well, all 3 of them, Europa League, Europa Conference, and of course the Champions League final. But for me, I think a final is always interesting. I mean, we're not necessarily saying the entire Europa Conference League watching the group stage and stuff, but it is a final. It does bring out something. I will say, to give your points some credit, is that this match is being held in Prague at the stadium that has 20,000 capacity.
There you go. But there's storylines.
Yes. So, okay, let's jump into West Ham first, because they finished 14th in the Premier League. And I think every time we spoke about West Ham when they had already qualified for the Conference League was, how are they in a European final? West Ham, who was decent last year and the year before, like proper solid English side, now finishing 14th, yet they're in a final. It's so bizarre. They could have silverware finishing 14th in the Prem.
In silverware for the first time since, I think, 1970 when they won the FA Cup. So it's a very, very long trophy drought for the Hammers. And at the helm of it all, of course, is David Moyes, who many had pegged to be the next manager sacked in the Premier League for a number of weeks this season. But yet here he is, as you pointed out, surprisingly to a lot of people, have them playing in a European final. Yeah, and fair play to them. They conquered some teams in their very pragmatic style of play in order to get here and get to this point. They grinded out results, but hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. They found a way to get here. When you look at West Ham's season, they kind of recovered, and obviously, 14th place, when you say that, I'm actually surprised that they didn't finish lower because of just how much turmoil the club was going through domestically throughout the course of this season. So yeah, for them to be here in a final, the chance to win their first silverware again since 1970, that's exciting for a lot of West Ham fans, and I think it's there. Like the opportunity for them to really win it's there. Like Fiorentina is a really good team, and they've rounded into form lately, but West Ham, it's in there. It's in the balance for them for sure.
Well, let's take a look at what David Moyes had to say going into this match.
I'm not sure if you'd have told MD that in the period would have finished 6th and 7th in the Premier League. Would have got to a semi-final of a European competition, and then the year after you'd have got to a final of a European competition. I think if you'd said that to people, before I came in, I think they'd have said, no, that's not true. So in a way, I think there's a lot of really good things going on. I think we've given lots of the West Ham supporters, West Ham club, lots of really good times, and long may it continue. We want to try and keep it going. We want to grow it. We want to keep these sort of moments happening. And I think to be in a cup final is special, certainly for West Ham, who it's been a while since we've been there.
I mean, it's all confidence coming from David Moyes and positivity, but I can't say that they've had a good season this year. I know he was talking about previous season, and that's all well and good, but you got to go into this being like, well, we didn't do well this season, so we got to go for this because this is all we can get. I think he was being a little too optimistic in my opinion there, because they weren't the team they were last year. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely not. They're far removed from that. Yeah, there were some rumblings that David Moyes would potentially leave West Ham and leave them on top because they're at a final and a chance to win some silverware, and let's see what happens after this. But he's come out and reaffirmed that he wants to stay at West Ham and wants to help rebuild this team in the summer. So he's got a big task in front of him, but nothing bigger, I think, right now. And I think for this fan base in particular, getting to a final, I mean, it's what this fan base probably have wanted for the longest time, right? We always talk about trophy starved clubs. We always talk about Tottenham on this show and how much a trophy would mean to that fan base. I think a trophy would mean so much to West Ham's fan base. So in a sense, yeah, they still are doing well, even though it's the Conference League.
Let's quickly talk a little bit about Fiorentina, because to me this side they've done really well this year. They only finished outside of European contention because of Juventus, who ended up getting their points back after that whole debacle. But they are the highest scoring side in European competition, above Manchester City, above Sevilla. Fantastic for them. They went to the Coppa Italia final against Inter Milan, lost 2-1. Inter, of course, now in the Champions League final. We're talking about Cabral, Bonaventura, the man of the World Cup, maybe, Sofian Amrabat. This is actually a solid side. Luka Jovic, like all these players. I think that Fiorentina has the edge here because, I mean, not only just looking at it statistically, they finished higher than West Ham by a mile in their own league, but they've gotten further in other competitions. And I think talent-wise, like they have a solid group behind them as well. Like you can't deny that this team has a really decent squad here.
Nico Gonzalez as well.
Nico Gonzalez, Argentinian.
And like I said, they hit their stride at a good time for them. Yeah, like you said, just short, but I think their last 12 matches, or 14 matches, it was 8 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses to finish out the season.
I don't think they've lost since like February or something.
Yeah, so they're they're a good side. You mentioned some of the players that'll be important to them. Yeah, their manager is also really important. Last name Italiano.
Love it.
Probably the best name in the Serie A there, especially because, of course, it's the Italian league. Player for player, looking at these two teams, though, really good players for Fiorentina. I still think I'd probably take West Ham's roster. Declan Rice is the big one. Lucas Paqueta, Jared Bowen, Thomas Souček. Like, they have
But what have they been able to do with that in the Premier League? They haven't. That's the thing.
But that's why they're such a big story.
Lucas Paqueta, after that World Cup, has been irrelevant, and he was fantastic at Lyon before. Like he is a solid player.
He's a baller.
I know it has nothing to do with him, but something at West Ham isn't making these players tick.
Yeah, for sure, and that's why they're such a big story, is because they have so much talent on their roster, player for player, but yet it hasn't really come together for the team in the way that they would have hoped.
Yeah.
Fiorentina, it looks like it's starting to come together for them. I don't know what the future holds for Fiorentina, but this tournament in particular for both these teams is super, super important, because neither of these sides are going to be in European competition next year. So they're both going to kind of throw everything at this game, and we'll see what happens.
All right, so then your prediction. Can Declan Rice, for maybe one last time in the Hammers uniform, get this done for West Ham on Wednesday?
Yeah, be the first captain to bring home that silverware in decades for West Ham, to be able to do that in your final game. The narrative is there for Declan Rice to go out and do this. It's a final. I'm expecting a tight game. I know Fiorentina play more of an attacking style of football, but West Ham, that kind of fits into the way that they want to play. Moyes likes to play off the counter with his team, likes to sit back and defend, absorb pressure, and like I said, in the final, that's pretty common in general. So I'm thinking extra time here. So Moyes actually has a decision to make, because he's going to go with their backup keeper, which is Areola, and that's been their cup keeper. But Areola has been, especially lately, terrible at penalties. I think there was a penalty shootout earlier this year. I forget which team they played against, but it was in one of the cup competitions, and he guessed the wrong way on 8 straight penalties.
That's a
Whereas
nightmare.
Lucas Fabianski, who's usually their starter, is actually known to be really good at stopping penalties. So Ariel is going to start this game. Moyes has already come out and said that
Yeah, you
that'll
have
be
to
the
back
case.
your keeper here.
But if it goes to penalties,
I hope
do
it
you
does
see
now.
that? Who was it? Was it Louis van Gaal who did it for Holland? There was a manager who made the penalty.
The switch?
Yeah, the switch.
Yeah, it's a gutty one because it really
Ahead of
shows
penalties.
like you don't trust the guy
Where
that's in
your
between the
cards are.
sticks.
You have to show your cards at that moment.
Yeah.
So that'll be, maybe it comes down to that. I think West Ham find a way to get it done. I do. It's going to be a tight game, though. I can see it going either way.
Yeah, no.
Fiorentina are slightly favored.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I'm going to go with La Viola Fiorentina, and I also agree. I think I could see this going into extra time penalties. An Italian side in a final, come on, checks out. But I think they will get it done because of the way they've been playing of late. But this is the Europa Conference League final, guys. June 7th, that's Wednesday, Fiorentina versus West Ham.
Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.